Hey guys, so this is the Real2 from Realacc, and I actually removed the little battery system down here on the bottom. It came with a couple, like 4 standoffs and a carbon plate here that kind of stuck lower. If you want to see what that looks like, you can check out the haul video that I unboxed it in. But yeah, I thought that was a pretty bad idea, so I went ahead and removed that. It was pretty simple to do. There's 4 screws on here, get rid of that whole system, and then I just added some little rubber silicone on the bottom here to protect the battery, and use the existing battery strap, and it worked just fine. It's a very unusual design overall here. You know, it's a 5-inch racer, split design here, lower arms in the front and higher arms in the back. Honestly, couldn't really notice much difference in terms of performance. The motors on here are, I think they're 2205 motors, 2300 kV, yeah, 2205, 2300 kV. I believe these are similar, if not the exact same motors that the Racer motors are based off of from earlier this year, so they're a little underpowered in my opinion. I think especially for the end of 2017, there's a lot more powerful motors out there. You know, it's a pretty, I mean, it's decent power. It's not like weak or anything like that, but it's definitely not anywhere near the top end in terms of performance, so that's something you should keep in mind. All around the frame, the carbon is 4 millimeters thick on the arms, both top and bottom. So I think that it's going to be pretty durable. There's no like weird holes or anything like that here that could break or snap in a crash. Although I didn't crash this, so couldn't tell you exactly how durable it is, but probably should hold up pretty well. Now this doesn't come with a receiver. It did come with a pre-soldered on receiver cable that was kind of sticking out kind of on the side here. So I pulled it out and I soldered on an XM Plus receiver, and that's the antennas that you're seeing here. They're sticking out. It does come with this little circular polarized antenna. I did fly it stock, just like the way it came. The video transmitter is in a really awkward location here. The button is underneath this carbon plate here to, I guess, below the LED here. So it's like right where my finger is. So if you stick something like a little screwdriver flat in here, you can reach the button and change your bands and channels. And it's like a long press to change the bands and a short press to change the channels. So it is possible. That it took me a little while to figure out, and there's actually no way you'll be able to see the button here, but if you stick a small flathead screwdriver inside there, you should be able to reach the button. I think you might be able to see the button from this side here if you, well, the camera will pick it up, but you can definitely see it from here. So that is kind of a design flaw, but I think if you don't change your channels a lot, it should be okay. But yeah, they should definitely either use a different design here for this plate, have a little like cutout here for the button for the video transmitter, or somehow change the design here so that this video transmitter antenna is like in the back and not in the middle here. Some people will probably want to use a GoPro in here, although I did not do that. So yeah, where the antenna is right now is a bad spot if you want to use a GoPro. So you'll have to mod this if you want to use a GoPro with this model. The camera on here is like a 700 TV line CMOS camera. Pretty narrow field of view. I would say maybe 110 degrees field of view. It's a 2.8 millimeter lens, so it's not very wide field of view. The camera is okay. It was sort of overcast, partly cloudy conditions, and the video seemed alright, but there was a little bit of jello. I did tighten the screws down here, but being a sort of a lower grade CMOS camera, the jello still comes through. You can see that in the video. But the color reproduction is okay, and the lighting handling is sort of average on this camera. So the ECs on here are these Realacc BL32 ECs. Now they're capable of D-Shot 1200. However, the flight controller was set up for D-Shot 600, and as I said before, I flew this completely stock, so I only flew with D-Shot 600. Not sure why it would be configured for D-Shot 600 when it does have D-Shot 1200 capable ESCs. Not exactly sure about that. It does come with an F4 flight controller. It's an F4 Omnibus F4 V2 Pro, and then it just has a standard PDB with a 5-volt and 12-volt regulator. Okay, so here is the weight measurement. It's not the lightest and not the heaviest. It's about 373 grams. So a little on the heavy side, I'd say a little above average. So the props that it came with are the Gemfan 5152 props, and these are known as the whiskey props because of the color, because obviously it looks like the color of whiskey. I like the 5152 props. They're good props. I think though that these props probably would do better on a different motor than these, because they they require a little bit more torque, so they take a little bit more time to spin up when you give it full throttle. And I think that these motors are probably what's limiting the performance of this model. It's a little bit on the heavier side, a little bit above average, and I think that it should probably use some different props than these 5152s for this particular motor to get better performance. I would say overall the performance is kind of average. Definitely not the slowest, but definitely not the fastest. So something that, if you guys are looking for super fast, tons of power, whatever, this is probably just not in that category. But I think that in terms of setup, it was pretty simple. I didn't change any of the settings. I just set up my transmitter, put my modes in, put on the props, charged up the battery, and obviously put on the video transmitter antenna and soldered on my radio receiver, and went and flew it, and it flew pretty good on the default PIDs. I believe that it just comes with default PIDs on here. I don't think that I did any tuning at all, so if you're again looking for models that you can just take out of the box, set up a few things and go fly, this is probably falls into that category, but this is not a top-end performer. Anyway, I'll go ahead and I'll show you some flight footage. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'll talk to you guys in the next video.